The joy of squalls. Sitting in a car park with your windscreen wipers going while a squall batters your car, shaking about. This car over here. Spring in the Highlands. I'm walking up to Stoer Lighthouse, and it's breezy as it probably sounds. This is very, very calm because that way is west, that way is the sea, and it's brutal today, as you're about to find out. You can hear that, the wind raging through that telegraph pole and the wires. Not half as bad as it was about half an hour ago. I'll come down here a bit so I can actually say something. Oh dear me. It's really windy. I don't know if you can hear the wind whipping through those gates. Really windy. Actually, if you look over there, you can see there's one of those waterfalls going upwards. If I can zoom in, there we go. I can barely keep the camera still enough for you to see it, but yeah, it's one of those days when waterfalls are flowing backwards. The lighthouse sits on this very high sort of promontory. It's quite a short, stunted lighthouse, not tall and thin like a lot of them are, but because this rock is like a massive great big cliff, 50 something meters high, it doesn't need to be that tall and thin, but it is really exposed up here. Looking that way, there's a sea stack up there as well, which is quite famous and people go and climb it. It's a really nice walk along these cliffs, and you do, I mean I've done it a few times, you get soaked by that waterfall because every time I come here it's looking like that. But it's a nice walk that takes you sort of up here and around. It's probably about 40 minutes, 45 minutes to an hour to get out that way. You can get to the sea stack first, and you can go all the way to the point, and then you can see sort of Tahanda and beyond to Finhaven and northwest Sutherland. Really quite a special place. Certainly too exposed to actually do anything approaching a video blog, because also I've got my external microphone and I'm quite convinced, even though it's on quite tight, I wouldn't put it past the wind to whip it away. So I'm going to head back down where it's a bit calmer. This is day 4, I think. Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. Yeah, day 4. Third full day in Sutherland. Since I went up Carn Huignac. What did I do? That was on Sunday. Then yesterday, just potted about really. Went up a little hill in Leg. I went to a Forestry Commission site. A lazy day yesterday. It's one of those, you have a big hill day, then a quiet day. So now I'm sort of out, come to the coast. I knew this storm was going to be coming in, and it sort of put the high hills out of bounds. It's like I said in the last blog, it was always seemed to be the case that the high hills were going to be off bounds. I mean, I expected that. But the best thing about being in Sutherland is when you have the storms coming in, is you can actually go to the coast and have these amazing seascapes and the waves coming over and crashing up cliffs and rocks. So even though I'm inland away a bit near Leg, I thought, no, I'm going to come out to Assynt. I've tried my best to avoid Assynt this week because I always come here, but there's nowhere I'd rather be in bad weather on the coast here. And the little blue thing is a refreshments van, and that wooden building, which was only arrived here in 2013, is widely believed to be perhaps the most remote public lavatory in Britain. But there's some interesting facts for you. Typically, for me, because I'm never here during the summer, I never get to use any of those refreshments because it's closed and it's not open until Easter. It's one of those seasonal things. You can't blame them. There was something there saying closed if it's strong winds or heavy rain, stormy conditions. If it was open all year round, it would never be open in winter or spring, because this is what you have to contend with. Great. Bracing, I think, is the word. It's savage up here, but hopefully if we get down there a little bit, it'll improve. I've got no idea whether you're going to be able to hear me over this. I don't think I've tried filming in any conditions this windy before. My microphone's not that good. Being buffeted by the wind. There's really no shelter at all. Well, I've got a bit of shelter. I'll see if I can actually say something. This is actually one of my favourite places. This place I made a beeline for was here, and also Clachtoll, where the split rock is. Down about 4 or 5 miles down the coast. Really nice place, little beach, beautiful, amazing place to wait out a storm. But also here at Stoer, wonderful place for seeing storms. I've been here about 4 or 5 times, which is I'm only ever here during really bad weather. Not that this is bad necessarily, but it's not a calm sunny day. Lighthouse was actually operational in 1870. It's one of the Stevenson lighthouses, which is a name that crops up a lot in these blogs. Dunnet Head, Duncansby Head, I think. St Abbs, all over the place. Lismore, was that one of his as well? I can't remember. But it's a dynasty of lighthouse builders, and I've mentioned that several times, between the late 1700s and when? Early 1900s, was it? About 130, 140 years or something stupid like that. But anyway, this is one of theirs. Quite late coming, 1870, and then it was decommissioned in terms of people not staying here. I think it was 1978, it said, when the last family actually moved out. But they were quite self-sufficient, and they've got there's walls, and they had a croft up here as well apparently, so they had their own cattle and livestock and stuff like that. But it's an amazing spot just to sit out and wait and watch a storm. Actually a whole section of cliff coming away, but it's actually a really nice, calm, protected spot. I always find it slightly unnerving that this is the cliff that's essentially pulling away from the land there. This will come off one day, but for the moment I'm fairly convinced it's not going to happen today. But it's just a nice sheltered spot to get out the wind. That said, when the wind's as strong as this, when it's as stormy as this, it's very few places that you can actually seek refuge. The wind just seems to sort of lap and come around or over every single obstacle there is. It just seems to find a way around. So it's more sheltered. I just wanted to come up this side just to give you a better idea of where the lighthouse sits on this massive rock, because you don't really get any sense of it when you're over that side, how high up it is. But it's these big sheer cliffs. Wonderful spot. There's a big signs up there saying rent this lighthouse. Not the whole lighthouse. I mean, you can stay there now. It's self-catering accommodation. try and get loads of friends together to go and rent lighthouses. There's a few that you can do this with in Scotland, and they're all interested. You know, you have to get, it's really good value for money. If you can get 15, 16 people, it's actually really good value. But as soon as they all got wind that you weren't going to stay in the tower, you're only going to be in the little cottages. I mean, that's where it always was. Nobody ever stayed in towers, as far as I'm aware. There's always like the little buildings at the bottom, the keepers' cottages. That's where you stay. But as soon as everyone found out that you weren't going to be staying in a big white lighthouse tower, nobody wanted to come. And for me, the attraction was always in the location. You know, being far flung at the end of a road on the top of a cliff. But for a lot of people, a lot of my friends at the time, they just weren't interested because you weren't going to be at the top of a lighthouse. I'm not friends with a lot of those people now, funnily enough. That's not why. Or maybe it is why. So part of me thinks it would be really nice. Like all these places I come to on the coast, and I think I was saying the same on Skye a few years ago, it'd be really nice to be here in the summer when it's just calm and you can see maybe basking sharks and whales and dolphins and porpoises. And I do love being here at this time of year when it's brutal, but it's just exhausting. So you're always getting caught, and it's just you exert a lot of energy trying to sort of fight and counterbalance against the wind. And you'll all know because you've all been up hills in windy weather, but it's coastal walking in winter. It can be worse than being up in the hills sometimes, I find. And then it goes all calm before the next lot of buffeting comes in. It's great though. The Scottish coast, and especially the Atlantic coast, in winter and the early spring. Amazing place to be, amazing time. A lot of people don't come away this time of year. You're getting into March now, there's more people coming away, but really, if you want drama and moodiness and amazing quality of light, you can do a lot worse. Actually, you can probably can't do better than coming away during the winter to the west coast and the northwest. You don't get much daylight in midwinter, of course, but moodiness, drama. It's a very grim looking day out in the sea. I've seen a couple of boats out there. I really would not want to be out there today. Horrendous. Because when you get to this time of year and you get very energetic showers because the sun's getting warmer and there's just a difference in temperature, you get convection off the Atlantic. Very, very angry showers come in. And I have sheltered here quite a few times actually. I was up here the last time I was here was January 2013, and we drove up and we parked. There's a car park at the top right next to the lighthouse, and we drove up and we parked up there. No sooner we stopped, a shower came in and the whole side of the car went white in about 5 seconds, and it was shaking like this. And I think the people I was with, I think they were all a bit sort of nervous, thinking the car was going to get flipped. It's that windy up there. So I tried to walk a little bit up here, and they come off these showers. These showers come off the sea so quickly, you can see them coming, and then you're always on the lookout for shelter when you know they're coming in. And this is always a handy spot because it always seems that when I set off, as soon as I'm heading up here towards the sea stack, the first one always seems to rattle through when I get here. It's a lovely spot. Like I say, it's one of my favourite places, and Assynt is anyway. Assynt is probably my favourite place in the whole of Scotland. Sutherland is generally. Assynt specifically, definitely my favourite place. And like I say, if I had to choose anywhere in Scotland where I was going to live, it would be Clacton down the road, and then you've got this for stormy days to come up here and watch the storms coming in.